For that. I think this has been a great discussion. I appreciate all of you being here, and certainly the concerns with folks in national security are very real and big. But as you know, this is a problem for all Americans. I mean, I think most Americans would be absolutely shocked if they knew what kind of digital footprint they're leaving as they just go about their daily life. And there are a lot of people, unfortunately, out there with very nefarious intent that are not targeting just our national security folks, although they're a primary target, no question about it. They're targeting everybody, criminal elements in particular. So this is something that we have to get our arms around as a country, and it's only going to get more concerning as AI continues to develop and the ability to deal with all of the data that's out there. But before I get into data security, I'd like to discuss just briefly some work that I'm doing with Senator Ernst. With the creation of synthetic media, often by foreign adversaries seeking to undermine our security, the ability to verify information has become absolutely essential. I think you'd all agree, for public trust, for defense, and for economic resilience. And while strong policies are necessary, which you've raised, I think it was also mentioned by Mr. Doyle, we also need technical tools. And certainly my idea as well, working with Senator Ernst, is to provide tamper-evident transparency for photos, for video, audio, text, all those things that are out there. In the fiscal year 24 NDA, I authored Section 1524, requiring the DoD to pilot a digital nutrition label for media that aids in understanding the origin of digital content. For example, showing how it was made, by whom, and how it's been altered over time. In this year's NDA, we built on that framework. Senator Ernst and I are co-leading legislation to add Digital Content Provenance Act to further advance those efforts. So it's kind of all of these different approaches we're going to have to take. But my first question is for you, Mr. Sherman and Dr. Kirschbaum. As ranking member of the Senate Committee on Homeland Security and Government Affairs, I recently released a report that found that DOJ is risking the sensitive data of all Americans at the Social Security Administration. According to a whistleblower, DOJ has copied Americans' sensitive Social Security data and put it into a cloud database, according to the whistleblower, without any verified security controls in a cloud database. This database includes the most sensitive information, as you know, of not only all Americans, but all the military members, national security personnel, as well as their family members. In fact, the Social Security Administration's own risk assessment warned that there is a 65% risk of catastrophic breach of this sensitive Social Security information. And that is, of course, if that information hasn't already gone, and the whistleblower says, we don't know. It's hard to know whether or not that's already been breached, and if it has, the consequences are going to be extensive. So, Mr. Sherman, based on your expertise, is this the kind of information in a database that a foreign adversary like Russia and China would just love to have?
Yeah, thank you, Senator, and of course not as in the weeds as the report as what you were saying, but yeah, I'll say two things, right? So one is we should always operate on the assumption that any data anywhere is of interest to adversaries, especially when it's aggregated in any kind of way. And the second thing is, I think this is there are many lessons over the last several years that we still maybe have not learned as a country from the OPM breach, right? Which is that any time in particular there's an intense concentration, and we can give examples across administrations, but any particular concentration of the kind of data you're talking about, again, that's going to be something a foreign adversary is going to want to look at.
Yeah, it's very, very important to make sure that we have the safeguards. So just to put it on an unsecured device is pretty scary, but maybe it will reassure you that the individual who oversees this database is a 19-year-old man who was fired from his prior job for leaking data. Does that bring any comfort to any of you, that this is the guy who's making sure that those foreign adversaries don't have access to that information? Dr. Kirschbaum, could you describe the consequences of this data were given or sold to an AI company that was and used this information to train their models?
Well, as Mr. Sherman was talking about, the lessons from the OPM breach are pretty clear. I mean, anytime this data is out there and it's accessed by unauthorized personnel, it's fuel. So, and a lot of times we're, both in Department of Defense, based on our work, the response has been reactive rather than proactive. And these are the kind of things that we really stress with the department, because my writ's looking at the Department of Defense. We stress just leaning a little more forward, looking at what you ought to be doing versus just plugging up holes, because that's never going to solve the problem.
Right. I'm also deeply concerned by reports that the DoD's recent $200 million contract with Elon Musk artificial intelligence AI company, xAI. This is the company's AI model that is well-documented record of producing hate speech, including racist and anti-Semitic content. I'm also concerned about the data risk for the social media company having access to DoD's most sensitive data on service members, as well as their families. Mr. Sherman, what would be your top concerns about such a procurement in which a social media company could have access to DoD sensitive data on service members and their families?
Yeah, thank you, Senator. And I'm not a content moderation expert, so I'll speak to the data piece. I think this gets back to Senator Slotkin's question earlier, right, which is how do we think, I'll make 2 points, right, at the strategic level about we want to make use of artificial intelligence or OSINT or take your pick at the same time as we're worried about security issues from it. And I'd say the answer is we can do both, right, and our adversaries would like to push this illusion that we can't have privacy and protection of data and successful competition, for example, right? So I'd say that's the strategic point. The policy point is I think this gets back to contracts, right? So anytime any company is going through a DoD contract, especially if you're getting personnel data, and I've worked on legislation before in this area, you need to make sure there are the proper audits, security controls, other things in place, no matter what that company is, to understand what kinds of risks we're dealing with in that scenario.
Madam Chairman, can I ask one more question, of your indulgence?
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you. Mr. Sherman, reports indicate that xAI is negotiating with foreign countries to build data centers. Such a partnership could allow the company to conduct operations in places without, as you know, without core data protections and safeguards like we have here in the United States. So my question for you, what are the risks of xAI's work with a foreign country and the potential risk to the data of service members and their families as they build out these data centers overseas?
I'd say, again, a set of criteria we can already apply, I'd say, would be supply chain, right? And looking at, okay, much like we would look at who's putting the components in a connected vehicle that drives by a base. If we have a data center with data, we need to look at where is it based, what are the law enforcement laws in that country, what are the intelligence access capabilities in that country, which other companies have controls in that supply chain to access the data. And again, these are frameworks we have, but as mentioned, maybe with past breaches and so on, we haven't necessarily learned these lessons for the military yet.
And many of those countries don't have any of those things.
This is correct, yes. Many other countries do not have the kinds of democratic oversight we have over intelligence and military activities.
Particularly potential adversaries especially don't have it.
China, Russia, the like, yes.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.